Jazakallah. Now, I would like to call Mr. Zia Mustafa, host of the session, member KSA Branch Council. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hira. Thank you very much, Head Office team, Muhammad Hashim. And now we all welcome our guest for today, Sayyid Khalid Noor. Sayyid Khalid Noor is a very seasoned finance professional whose work experience is covering around 4 decades of practical life exposure. And Sayyid Khalid Noor is a seasoned finance professional. He is currently CEO in a Univision consulting firm. His prior experience has been CFO, Director of Finance, and HR at Mactor International Limited. He has been country head and country CFO at Nova Artis Pharma Pakistan Limited. So this is very special about Sayyid Khalid Noor. Like he has been into finance, into HR, into strategy and leadership. Very unique combination. So at Novartis, he has been CFO and the CHRO. Prior to that, he was the finance director at Unilever Pakistan for a good number of years, and he has done his audit training from KPMG Karachi office. So we welcome Sayyid Khalid Noor, and we all will learn many practical insight in terms of topic today from Sayyid Khalid Noor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Zia, and thank you, ICMA, for allowing me to come and present in this webinar of yours. Today's topic is very, very interesting and very hot. We've been talking about future of finance for a very long time, but the future is already here. So let's dive into it. Let's discuss some of the major concerns that we are facing as a profession in finance. So I'll just share the presentation. So am I audible and can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. So today's topic is that the finance function has to be more strategic led, and as the technology is enabling us with AI and agentic AI, we can leverage these new technologies and make our finance function much more effective than in the past. Finance has transitioned a lot since manual ledgers to ERP systems to business intelligence dashboards, but now the pace of change is very fast, and AI has actually not only impacted finance, but also marketing, sales, HR. So finance also needs to catch up with the new technology, and we are already doing it. Some of our members are taking a lead positions in implementing artificial intelligence into finance function. The agentic AI is coming in as the newest tool to automate and do work with AI agents. So more of that later. Let's start. So today's agenda. So we'll briefly touch upon present day challenges, and your participation would be welcomed. Then we'll talk about the future state of finance as to what we see as to what would the future look like. So after that, we'll actually come to a very important topic that is often neglected by finance professionals. And we talk about strategy and how can finance actually contribute in the strategy management process and also in the value creation. Then lastly, the third module, we'll be talking about the AI-enabled finance, and where we'll talk about the generative AI, like ChatGPT and many other, Claude and others, and also talk about the role of the new agentic AI. Then we'll briefly touch upon how important it is about the data and having a strong digital foundation. We'll talk about AI-powered forecasting, very important. We'll also talk about process excellence and governance. And lastly, we'll close the session with a roadmap for finance. So I hope you'll find it useful. Please do ask questions and during the breaks that we'll have, and also share your experience with AI. So coming to the first part of the presentation, let's look at the present day challenges today, and then we'll talk about future state of finance. So our present day finance, I actually come at a long way. We have in the past 20, 30 years have been investing in the technology, and they were mainly across transaction processing, the enterprise resource planning, MRPs. But these were actually much more transaction based, and so we had lots of data. The finance had finance data, marketing had marketing data, HR had HR data. So these were siloed and not shared across the organization. And there was limited insight and very limited foresight. So you can see, so so we've been using computers for more than 30 to 40 years, as Sia mentioned, that more than 4 decades where finance has been using, and the banks were actually using IT even before that. So that's the current status of present day finance. As you can see in the screen, that we've been using data analytics, that the transactions summary are being presented in a dashboard map. So this is like present day. But the problem is that these are descriptive data analytics, and they actually lack business insight. So as you can see that it can show the trends, but it isn't answering why. So this is an area where we will be working on in the future state. So now I have a question to our fellow members, and you can answer in the chat box. Question number 1. So is finance still spending more time in operations and looking in the rear view mirror? If you think that is the current state, you can put 1 in your chatbot. Or is your finance looking ahead through the front windshield, charting and shaping future business outcome? So for next 2 minutes, please enter in the chatbot either 1 or 2. Zia, can you help me? I can't see the chatbot because of the presentation. So
Yes,
please.
sir, I will help you. So we have started getting feedback. 2, 1 members are writing the feedback there. So far, more of 2s are coming yet.
Very good. So in progressive companies, in modern finance organization, there should be a good balance. So yeah, a finance team has to do operations, they have to do reporting and analysis, but it's equally important that finance also looks ahead through business foresight. So what's the ratio looking like?
So, sir, like we have so far 3 2s and 2 1s. So
Okay.
there's a close contest in between.
Yeah. So it depends on the size of the organization and the maturity of finance function. Generally, let's share some surveys.
Mhm.
So CEO feedback that is uncomfortable truth, and the CEO believes that only 21% of their finance function significantly contribute to strategic decision making, and the remaining 79% see finance as a necessary overhead. So this is a survey carried out by Gartner. So this is not a good picture. And here is the analysis of where the finance is spending its data, its time. So transaction processing still takes on a lot of time. So we are creating invoices or entering purchase invoices, etc. Still transaction processing, great deal of time. Then performance monitoring, that's a good part, is 35%. But the strange part is that it leaves very little time for us to do strategy and value creation time, only 10%. So this needs to be changed, and this will change with the analytical tools that are coming on board with AI. So let's go forward. So that was CEO survey, and now we look at the CFO survey. So 60 to 70% of the finance time is spent on transactions. So similar output here. 60 to 70% of the finance time spent on transactional compliance activities. That's from Gartner. Only 22% of the CFOs says finance is a true strategic partner, which is from McKinsey. And it's also similar to the CEO survey that we saw in the last slide. 78% of the CEO wants more forward-looking insight, and they are not getting it. That's done by PwC. So this is actually not acceptable in today's world, as we have to reinvent ourselves to stay relevant. So again, I want some participation from your side as to what are your current key concerns and challenges as finance leaders. Please share in the chat box. Just top three of your mind as to what are you worried about? So we'll get a feel as to how we can solve these issues going forward. 2 minutes.
I think, sir, one of the key concern is that we all need to work on the ground to how we spend our time. And I think the perception part will automatically change as we go into it.
Absolutely.
Because what the CEO survey is saying, the CFO surveys are validating the same,
Yeah.
how we all are spending our time. So rather than working on perception, we need to work on the root cause and how we adjust ourselves in this age of technology, how much time we spent in each bucket rather than transaction processing, more towards strategy part and analytics part and predictive analysis. So maybe then automatically the response in the future can start changing. So we have
Absolutely
started
there.
getting feedback, upskilling and reskilling of the existing staff from Zahir Abbas. Then we have Muhammad Nawaz, regulatory compliance, IFRS, law and orders. Then we have Muhammad Ajmal Qureshi, sustainability of the profession. This is also very
Good.
important. Transformation,
Yeah.
Zahir Abbas, transformation, leadership development. And another feedback, transformation mindset is the biggest opportunity as well as the challenge.
Also,
yes, go ahead.
Also, this understanding of business operation is also a challenge for finance people, because finance people are not looking at this side, and they are just busy in their reporting and numbers and all these things. So operations understanding of the business is also a challenge for finance leaders.
Right. Very important point, Hashim Saab. Finance has to have a strong business knowledge to sustain, because you have to add value to the business. It's no longer transaction processing and reporting. You have to be part of the you have to support the business strategy formulation as well as in execution. So that's what today's session is all about. Okay, I think very
So we
pertinent
have
and
one more question. Like
Hmm.
Ejaz Ahmed is saying, provide outlook and link growth strategy with the financial strategy. And Ali Usman want to ask one question. So Shafiq, can you unmute him? Ali Usman want to ask one question. Ali Usman Makhdoom. Yes, Ali, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ali Usman Makhdoom and my registration number is section 2010-0527। तो मेरा सवाल नहीं है सर, मैं बस कुछ अपनी सजेशन देना चाहता हूँ, कुछ अपने ख्यालात का इजहार करना चाहता हूँ। आई वांट टू ऐड वैल्यू टू योर मीटिंग एंड आई एम हियर टू also I'm here to get knowledge from this Zoom meeting, and I am, as you have allowed me to speak, so I want to say that finance leaders are at the top. They are at the top of the management. They know where to get finance and from where to get the values for preparing or standing up the business. The AI is a challenge for them. AI is a competitor for them. Finance leaders know that, ask us to where to get loan from or where to get stand up decisions, you know what. So so AI is a competitor to the finance leader, but AI can help in that way to the finance leader, that when they are getting a finance, when there is a meeting, company meeting, they decided to get finance from there or from there or from there, then the AI can help the finance leader in that way, that even you know what, I have little knowledge about AI, or only one knowledge I have, it's Chat GPT. Finance leader can chat the GPT and ask, if we go to this one loan provider, then what would he say? What would his feelings? He says yes or no. He says come to me or no or not. So AI can help the finance leader in that way. They can ask her. They can ask her whether should we go to them to take the loan, and if we take no to take loan from them, what would their what would be their what would be their you know what, I'm a little weak in English
Response in
because
it.
no problem, Ali.
Fine, we will answer that part, Ali. Thank you, Ali.
thank you, shukriya.
Right. Let's move forward. Some very good points raised, that some of our key concern, as you said, that we are spending too much time on transactions, etc., and more time should be spent on about future strategy. So let's see some of the present day challenges that you have already mentioned, and I'm putting it forward here also. So the first challenge which we recently saw was geopolitical actions, multipolarity between the US and China and Russia, the tariffs, the sanctions, and we had some blockades and war. This really impacted business. We saw the oil prices went up, pushing prices across the world, and secondary inflation took place. So the finance people need to understand the external world, what is happening and how it will impact their businesses, and they need to bring actually built in their internal forecast the impact of geopolitical actions. The second important thing, and which is also related, is the macroeconomic cycles impacting inflation, interest rates, and currency rates. This becomes volatile, and when the war happens and when these kind of political actions take place. So you will see that in strategic analysis, these kind of external factors need to be taken into account. Then we see internally decisions are made on an ad hoc basis there is no platform for integrated intelligence. Also, because of the volatile situations outside, in the outside world, the decision velocity has increased. So now the speed of decision making required is very high, and finance plays a very important role in providing a decision intelligence system, which allows organization to take decisions based on data, both internal and external. And this is where future of finance lies, that we have to provide standardized data intelligence to the company, which will speed up decisions, and that decision will be based on strong data. Then we have already talked about this, the AI and the machine learning and other technology disruption is taking place. And this not only affects finance, it affects the entire organization, how we serve our customers, and it requires very high investments. So the finance people have to evaluate these investments. Sometimes the chief technology officer says that we have to invest, but we also have to see what kind of returns are we going to get it. These days, there is a lot of dissatisfaction that the kind of investment that AI requires, the proportionate returns are not coming in yet. So and as finance people, we need to evaluate the investments in the coming years. And as someone mentioned, that increasing regulatory compliance to all the industries, especially even in technology companies, but also like I've worked in pharmaceutical companies, there is an increasing regulatory compliance, which is happening across not only taxation, but also the industry itself. So often we need to report on that. For example, ESG reporting is also being added on to our work. Someone mentioned that the talent mindset, we need to upskill for the future. And also the enterprise integration. So all the information has to be integrated, and the speed of business has radically changed. So today, if we see the stock market, most of the trading is being done in milliseconds in the US. So a lot of trading transactions are they are automated. Similarly, a lot of transactions like online sale, like Amazon, etc., they are on the go. Every minute by minute, transactions is taking place without any human touching the transaction. So a lot of automated transactions is taking place. So these are some of the present day challenges. We can actually look at them and actually try and see how these are impacting our organization, how they're impacting our finance function, and start building solutions. And most importantly, our current IT systems are also, the data is legacy systems, are not suited to artificial intelligence because the data is all spread out. We'll talk about it later. So if you broadly look at these challenges, so I've listed here 7 challenges, and can you check that out of 7, 4 are information technology related. So we have legacy systems, we have enterprise integration, we have a decision intelligence system, and we have the AI and ML technology. So as finance profession, we have to really think that, are we investing enough in the technology part? And these are going to take some resources out of your other investment priorities. So we need to balance the investment in technology. So as I said that we've been talking about future of finance for last 10 years or something, but future is already here. We were talking about machine language and nowadays natural language processing. You can actually converse with the IT systems in your language. So here you can see this is a picture also made by AI. And you can see that this is a collaborative style of management. People are using technology real time. So the future is actually here. So a lot of companies have set up data rooms whereby the meetings takes place and they can see live performance of the organization as to the minute. Although that may not be required at the strategic level, but at the operations, they're looking at things as they are happening. So this is something that we should consider as a future state of finance. So from the present day functional, siloed, and controlling mindset, we have moved forward. So we have business partnering. But most importantly, my experience in Unilever and also at Novartis, that I was fortunate to work with marketing. I was a business partner. I worked with businesses very closely. So finance need to attend a lot of other functions meeting. In factory environment, there are regular weekly meetings whereby finance is present, but they have to change from controlling mindset to a business mindset and a strategic mindset. Now, how will this come? This will come when you start having conversation with the business people. You actually go to customer visit. I can recall that in Unilever, all the head office staff was required to go out with the sales representatives and actually take orders. And a similar thing at Novartis, whereby we went with the medical reps to all the doctors and trying to sell our medicines. And from there, you actually realize both the customer pain points, what issues are they facing, and what your sales and marketing people are facing in the field, what kind of challenges. And then you can bring in some good business insight into the meeting. And that is helpful when you are making strategy. The other part is that the traditional role has been that we're preparing monthly financial reports. So in future, there'll be live AI-driven strategy scorecards and dashboards. So the reporting will be much more strategy focused. And the KPI and the metrics will be much more strategic. Rather than plain P&L, you will be able to see what kind of strategic priorities that you had set and how is it progressing. We are very favorite of finance people, monthly variance analysis against the budget, against the last year. This will also can be AI driven and any exceptions can be highlighted. Decision making with the data lake and data warehouse technology, most of the decision intelligence models would be set up and it will make our decisions much more faster and data driven, as opposed to what we feel like or what is our past experience. This is very important because if the quality of decision making and the speed of decision making improves, that makes the organization efficient, avoids unnecessary delays and losses. In today's world, the speed is of essence in customer experience. Customer is now getting used to so pizza in 30 minutes at your door and the online Amazon can deliver your orders next day. In US, I'm experiencing that even Amazon can deliver within the same day, which is amazing. Lastly, we look at the AI-enabled strategic analysis and scenario modeling for strategy. So I've recently saw a person that how AI is actually doing a full version of strategy, doing strategic analysis, making strategic choices, and doing an analysis and actually recommending a strategy all by itself. You give some data, but then things which used to take months or weeks can be done within a day or even half a day with the help of AI. So this is exciting moment for us, for finance professionals, that we can learn new skills and we can actually create more value for the organization by leveraging the new technology and AI. So AI is not competing with us. You would recall, some of us, the senior members, that when the Excel came or when the computers came to the finance, we thought that it will eliminate a lot of jobs. But in actual fact, it hasn't. Most of the finance functions still retain. What will happen is that people who upskill themselves will stay relevant than those who do not upskill. So, and it is much easier. Learning AI is much easier than the programming and coding that people used to learn. Although, so the good news is that AI is there to help you to create much more value. You can do a lot more. So minimum efficiency that people have been talking about, that they are saving 30 to 40% of the time by using AI. So not only drafting emails or reports or etc., but doing meaningful analysis. So this is quite exciting state of finance, and we all are at the very exciting times. We have to take some time out, and the Institute of Cost and Management Accountant, as well as other accounting bodies like ICAP, are investing in these AI courses, but there are courses available outside the institutes also, and we need to really apply. And it's not theory. You have to actually learn by doing them, even a small thing. One of my senior coach told me that he has got no programming background, and he's learned how to make a chat bot. And that's quite amazing. So let's look at some of the ways finance actually creates value in the organization. So in the revenue growth, the finance work with the commercial teams, and they work on the pricing, deals, and contracts. And they also assess customer profitability models, driving their go-to-market strategy. So it's very, very important that you take time out, you attend sales meeting, you attend the brand meeting. And one of the lessons that I've learned, that you don't have to get an invitation to attend the meeting. As a finance member, you can attend, you can be a part of any meeting in the organization. It may shock some people in the beginning, but then when you start adding value to the meeting, they will appreciate your feedback. So find out, and you can talk to people in advance that you want to attend these meetings. So you learn a lot in those meetings. It may take your time. Meetings are sometimes very slow, but there are some very good practices in meeting. There are good practice like stand-up meeting. We'll finish the meeting in 30 minutes or in 60 minutes. So that makes the meeting quite efficient. But then it's up to you how much you want to get into the business. And I can tell you that the more you are into it, the more value you will create, and the more the organization will appreciate. And for the CFO journey, people are not looking at your accounting skills or your tax skills. They're actually looking, they are important, but most important is that your business acumen and what you can add in the meetings. The second area, very important and very closely related to finance, is the strategic capital allocation excellence. Now, this is an area which requires a lot more attention because the investment in a strategic project needs, you need to prioritize data, and you need to prioritize where should the organization be investing, and this requires real-time returns data sometimes, and also reallocation of the capital on a quarterly basis sometimes. I know you can't change businesses, but then you actually see what kind of pool of capital is available, what kind of opportunities are available, and then you prioritize using various, assigning various strategic focus and weights in making these allocation. It's a very interesting area where the finance people should be working on. Third is the cost intelligence, and this is much beyond cost cutting. It's more towards cost optimization for growth. So if the business growth strategy is to increase the penetration of sales in a new territory, you need to invest in the infrastructure to do that. So that's the necessary cost. That's you cannot be cutting costs there. It's a new new green field, and therefore you need to invest in that area. So that's more of an investment for the future. The second area, which is sometimes missed, is having a zero-based mindset applied to every dollar spent. Most of the budgeting exercise is based on percentage increase over last year. Now, this needs to change. You have to have a zero-based mindset. This is a very powerful concept within the cost and management community. This actually helps you challenge each cost. It is time consuming, but then this is where you can find real money, and you can allocate cost based on the benefit derived. Then comes the sustainable value creation. Now, this is a new area totally. At Unilever, we were talking about sustainable value 15 years ago, and at that time, it was a totally new concept, but now we are required to do, as a part of ESG reporting, that what kind of sustainable actions organization is taking. So we're talking about green finance strategy, unlocking new capital and lower cost of debt. And lastly, the ecosystems and partnership value. The finance leading joint venture alliances and partnership structuring. So the merger and acquisition, build versus buy, partner decision powered by financial modeling. So this is, again, not a new area, but a very important area where the finance team, finance community can actually lead and create value. So are there any questions so far before I go to the next section of strategy-led finance?
Sir, you have answered some of the question, like people also talk about the business acumen. I think you answered it very well. Working with the cross-functional team, with the sales and marketing, this was very important. I think people are realizing this. If we automate our transaction processing, we can get a decent time so we can focus on the business meeting with the sales, with the finance, as you said. I have personally learned this from Sayyid Khalid, like be part of your cross-functional projects. And that gives you a very good visibility across organization. Your technical skills are always needed and they are given, but that is the starting point. That is not the finished end point. Any other question by any of the participants, we can bring you to the stage. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. So we can go to Muhammad Ajmal.
Assalamualaikum. Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Yes, Ajmal, you can speak. You can ask your question.
Okay. Thank you, Zia Sahab and Khalid Sahab. First of all, I would like
Sorry, can't hear you.
You are not audible. Please raise your voice.
Okay.
Ji,
Hello.
Ajmal.
Okay now?
Ji. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity for the question. Okay. I would like to ask when AI is actually to improve forecasting, and efficiency, risk management, but mostly depend on the high quality of data, skilled professionals, and governance, and on the strategy of the company. So why we are not more focusing on upskilling the staff and to change the culture and of our organization to move towards AI, rather to impose heavy ERP systems and automation on the people, where actually it is very difficult to accept change, and change management is also very challenging every time.
Thank you, Ajmal. You have raised a very important point, and I'll be covering it in my future slides. The budgeting and forecasting debate has been on the value of budgeting and the moving forward with rolling forecasts. So at Unilever, we were actually doing rolling forecasts for the next 18 months, recurring. The MRP cycle was actually built on a 5-year forecast in pharmaceuticals because their development time takes longer. So, although the MRP was being done on a 24 months rolling or even 60 months rolling, the finance people were actually not using the data. So that data was already available in their ERP systems. So yes, we need as the data becomes integrated and available, we'll be able to use them in our rolling forecast. And you're absolutely right that the right kind of cost drivers will help you to create much more realistic rolling forecast, which will be far more useful than an yearly exercise of budgeting. So we'll cover it in the future. Thank you, Ajmal, for the question.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Anybody else want to ask the question? He can raise hand so we can unmute him. Sir, we are good to go. There is no more question.
Thank you, Ashim Saab. So now we go to the next section of our presentation, and it's the strategy-led finance. So question, why strategy? Why is it important that we should be worrying about our business strategy? So basically, a well-defined business strategy is essential for creating value. It's to harness growth opportunities, to mitigate risks and threats, and also to align decision-making. So once you have a strategy, then all the senior members can align their decision-making based on what your strategy is. Then also, we talked about capital allocation. It will be optimized based on the strategic prioritization, and we will achieve our long-term goals and sustain competitive advantage. So strategy is not a myth. It's actually a very important governance for the organization. They have to, and as most of the public companies are now also required to disclose their strategy. So previously, strategy used to be a very confidential and very secretive documents. But then it is so important that if you want to achieve your corporate long-term objectives, you have to share the strategy right across the organization. So at Novartis, the global strategy was rolled out, and people were actually through town hall, through communications, and then these strategies were locally adapted by local companies. So similarly, if you are working in an organization and you do a 3-year strategy, then that strategy needs to be translated and communicated across the organization. We used to have focus group discussions where strategy used to be while making strategy, and we used to take input from the focus group. So for the success of any organization, it is very important that we have to have a regular strategy session, and there is a clarity across the organization as to what the organization's strategy is. Because of cultural differences in Asian community, there was a tendency to hide the strategy, and therefore the execution was poor. But now that the modern way is to actually communicate this strategy across the organization, and therefore everybody should understand what the business strategy is, and then we will be able to achieve those objectives. So for example, at Novartis, their key strategy was to make the new developed medicines launch successful. So can you imagine, I was head of HR and I was being taught how to launch a new medicine, which was traditionally a marketing and sales domain. But then it is very important that HR should actually contribute by hiring the right kind of people, hiring the right kind of medical reps that can make the launch successful. So this is why strategy. Now, how do we do strategy? So actually, it's both top down and bottom up. So basically, it's cross-functional. It's a disciplined process and requires a lot of analysis and rigor. So it is a structured, cross-functional and disciplined process by analyzing internal and external environments, defining strategic objectives, aligning resources, which includes both human, technological, infrastructure, and financial, and achieve long-term organizational goal. So this is how we do it. I'll go in a bit more detail in our next slide. So I struggled with strategy a lot because of my finance background, and at Unilever, people were talking about brand strategy, category strategy, business unit strategy, corporate strategy. So I had to take some strategy course, but they were talking about basic concepts, not giving a full picture as to how a strategy has to be formulated and executed. So this is a summary, a 10-step summary of strategy management workflow, which I trust you'll find useful. And please pay attention, because this is, if you apply these 10 steps of strategy management, your strategy document will be much more effective. So let's start with strategy formulation. And the first step is doing strategic analysis. And this includes internal and external analysis. And I'll show you what analytical tools that we use in strategic analysis. Secondly, making strategic choices. Now, strategy is all about making strategic choices. These choices can be from customers' point of view as to what they require, what is their pain point, and what kind of value proposition the organization is going to be offering. Thirdly, you have to frame value proposition for your customers. Identify. Then, after you've made the strategic choices and you've made the value proposition, you need to assess the organization's capability gaps as to what will enable the organization to deliver these strategic choices and to deliver the value proposition. And then you do a feasibility and validation check of the strategic choices and the value proposition. So this looks simple, but then there's a lot of work at the strategic analysis area. There's a lot of work in making strategic choices and framing the value proposition because it's a competitive world. Then we need to assess whether the organization has the right capability to deliver these promises. And here, finance actually plays a very important role in doing feasibility and validation and doing some scenario modeling. So this is the first part of strategy formulation. Secondly, the strategy execution part. Now, this is doing implementation planning. So how much material needs to be bought, how much production needs to do, how much sales needs to do, what kind of finances are required. So this is all in the implementation planning. So this was high-level strategic planning, and this is in the strategy execution, it's the operational planning. And you need to align the organization. You need to communicate the strategy across the organization. And then you need to do an operational integration. So for example, the SNOP, sales and operations planning, which integrates the demand plan and the material plan and the production plan and the financial plan, of course. So this is the operational integration part. Then after implementation, you'd have to look at the performance management and do corrective review. Take some corrective action as to if you are not achieving your strategic objectives. And lastly, you need to change and adapt your strategic plan. So this is the 10 steps made, which has to be done in a logical way, in this disciplined way, so that you achieve these strategic objectives. And this is a loop. So after you adapt the strategy, you go back again and do the strategic analysis. So previously, strategy was actually done every 2 years. Then it became every year. But now that the world is changing a lot, so we need to do a strategic analysis like every quarter. This is heavy, adds a lot of work. But then by using AI now, the strategic analysis will be much more faster. So this gives an overview of the strategy steps. So are there any questions relating to the strategy management workflow? Because this is quite important.
Yes, anybody want to ask any question? He or she can write in the chat box or can raise his or her hand so we can unmute. Till now, we have not seen any more question.
Okay. So this is how a strategy should be done. And I will give credit to my teacher of strategy, a Romanian strategy consultant called Mihai Avenscu. He's an engineer, but then he made it strategy discipline as a step-by-step action. So now we are looking at what kind of strategic analysis what kind of strategic analysis is done. Sorry. So for internal analysis, we can look at the management accounting reports and do financial analysis like trend analysis and look at the key metrics. Very importantly and often overlooked is the value chain analysis. Look at our current resources, core competency areas, performance metrics, and also McKinsey 7S, famous McKinsey 7S analysis as to how these areas are affecting our strategy. For external analysis, we do the famous PESTEL analysis, which is politics, economics, social, technological, environmental, and legal, how they are affecting our businesses. Then Porter's 5 Forces, it's very famous. We do industry analysis, we do competitive analysis, and also do innovation and technology assessment impacting our business. Now, this is a picture of a business model canvas. I find this extremely useful to describe the strategy and to understand the strategy. So on the right side, let's start from the value proposition. This is what the strategic choices is as to what kind of value you're going to be offering to your customers. What kind of customer relationships are you going to be taking in terms of how you are advertising your products, how you are creating relationship, memberships, etc. What channels are you going to be using? What kind of customer segments? So this entire area is your revenue area, which can be linked. And then you have the cost part, the key activities, the key resources, the key partners. So this is the cost part, and this is the revenue stream. So not only you can see the strategic choices that you're making in terms of what key activities are you going to be doing, what kind of resources you're going to be using. This is actually can be translated into a P&L. And I'm grateful to my teacher, Salim Sufi, who has actually shown how to convert the strategy canvas into a P&L. Let's see in the next slide. So here you can see that the top right part of this business model canvas goes to the revenue. The left part of key activities, key resources, and key partnership goes into cost of goods sold. And you arrive at gross profit. And then marketing expenses and admin expenses, etc., are taken from key resources that we're using, and you arrive at the operating income. So this is something which was not formally done, and now we can actually translate the impact of strategy into our P&L. So this is a very useful template, and I'd like you to explore it. It makes your analysis much more deeper, much more strategic. So understand the business model of your company, document this in one page. So you have your key partnerships, your key activities, what kind of resources you require for the business, your value proposition to customers, how much you're going to be spending on your distribution, what kind of segments are you going to be addressing. So this entire business model canvas can be translated into profit and loss, and therefore you can evaluate whether the strategy is adding value or not. So again, there are 9 sections in the strategy model canvas. So the customer segment is addressing the sales revenue, value proposition, again, revenue per unit, margin, sustainability, channels, cost to serve. That's a profitability driver, cash velocity. And this is your your selling and general expenses, your working capital needs, customer relationships, important to assess the recurring revenue, and how does it reduce your churn cost. So this makes the top 8, sorry, the top 5 is actually giving you the sales part, and then we have the cost part of the P&L, key activities, key resources, key partnership, and cost to serve, cost structure. So this is quite very exciting that we are able to link the business model canvas to profit and loss account. Again, credit goes to our senior alumni at ICMA, Mr. Salim Sufi. Okay, so you have done the strategy part. Now, very important tool also developed by the management accounting community. It's called strategy map. This is shows a cause and effect relationship, and it has got 4 sections: the financial perspective, customer perspective, internal perspective, and learning and growth perspective. I find very few finance people are actually using this strategy map. And if you master this area, your value to the organization actually increased a lot. You can actually discuss this strategy map with senior directors and chief executive as to whether this current strategy map is valid or not, or what kind of changes are required based on changes that are happening outside. So strategy map and then balance scorecard are great examples as to how it can help in strategy design as well as in strategy execution. So performance management can be done by the balance scorecard. These are very well established, but unfortunately, the use is limited somehow, which is very, very strange. But if you want to have a good strategy execution, you need to have a balance scorecard as your key area of managing the strategy implementation. So that was all about the strategy part. If you have any questions relating to the strategy-led finance, please share your questions now.
Sir Khaled, Zia Mustafa here.
Yes.
Sometimes we come across this question like, is strategy more for marketing and business development team or for finance? And yes, we convert the strategy into a long-term business plan, 5-year business plan, but who should own it and who should be playing an active role in terms of converting the strategic initiatives for future into the business plan? So how we can resolve this myth for the young people and how we can do it for the middle management people as well.
Right.
How important is strategy for the finance professionals?
Thank you, Zia. I think this is the most important question of the day. And this is, I cannot emphasize more. Every finance person in the department needs to understand the strategy, because this will create the other senior members in the organization will really appreciate that the finance is finally now talking about strategy and not just the various reports. So, and one of the good practices that I experienced is every month when we shared the reports with the board and the senior executive committee meeting, we actually shared the whole performance deck with the finance team also. So although the FP&A team is actually making it, but the rest of the finance operations people, we were actually sharing it. So that actually helped them to understand the business strategy. So my belief is that it actually transforms the mindset of the finance people, and not only finance people. We actually invited in the factory. We invited the engineers also, and they really appreciated finance effort when we were sharing the results with them, and they started understanding the working capital impact of building up inventory and the cash outs. So it's important that it's so important that they also understand the outside world, what is happening in the outside world, because businesses, the operations are siloed and they're only doing their internal operations. So you open their mindset and you then get some very new ideas from your own team that you can actually take up in the organization. So it's very important that, as you said, that the finance team should go out in the operations area, in the sales area, and understand what is happening on the ground. Strategy is not a very technical subject. Strategy is actually a lot of common sense, but then you have to apply it in a disciplined way. And that finance is very good at. So I will encourage, and I as a senior person struggled at Unilever with the strategy part. So I followed it up from accounting profession to did my MBA. I also went to Harvard to study strategy, just to understand as to what is really happening and how do we make key decisions. A lot of good authors are available on business strategy, and a lot of articles are being written. So I think everyone in the finance function should actually sit down and discuss the business strategy as it is happening, and then it is going to create an amazing value for the organization. Are you okay? Yes.
Yes, sir. Can you go back to that business model canvas slide?
Sure. This is the business model canvas slide.
No, after this one,
Right.
which is linked to PNL.
Yeah.
This slide is very important as far as
Yeah.
I see in this presentation, because it completely gives you your strategy, which is totally subjective theoretical aspect, and into practical aspect where we are actually involved, which is PNL. Normally, we are all busy in numbers, but we don't
Right.
understand this business. We don't give the attention to this business model canvas. So I would suggest the attendees study this business model canvas. It is very important. And if you want to be a strategic CFO, it is basic thing to be learned. We should learn, and we should focus on this. It is very important slide for all the finance people, because we want to become CFO, but we are not getting the opportunities in the market. Why? Because we are technically sound, but on this theoretical part, to link with our practical part of numbers, we are very weak as a finance people. So we have to focus on this business model canvas actually, so we can grow in our career. And the future is of finance is not only number, as everybody knows now. Now, as at the start you said, the future is here already. So
Yeah.
this slide I would suggest everybody to study very
Deep.
carefully and focus on this, along with the business scorecard. Of course, that was also a very important topic. So this is from my side. This is very important slide for me. Yes, anybody else have any question? Please raise your hand so we can take him on the floor. Okay. Okay, so there is a question. AI in finance means, again, based on the historical data available of concerned business, we forecast or make future strategy, or we can use it to compare with the same business means competitors.
Right. Thank you for the question. Yes, people, because the data that we store in our systems are all historical data, but then you can also add the external data, which will help you create a better forecast. So, for example, the economic growth rate, the employment rates, the demand for new technology that is coming in, or new competitive brands that are coming in. These kind of factors you can actually build in your model, which will help you do the strategy and forecasting. I want to share my Novartis experience, that they have operations in 120 countries across the globe. And the budgeting used to take 3 months and even more, actually close to 5 months, starting with the brand strategy, then the category strategy, then the business strategy, country strategy. So it was quite painful, a long exercise. So they decided, they evaluated the value, and I'll cover that. And they used the forecast data prepared by an independent company previously it was called, I forget, now it's called IQVIA. So it gives you the market intelligence data, but also produces forecast, which drugs are expected to grow in the next 5 years or decline. And by using an external report and external data, they automated using AI the budgeting exercise of globally. More than 100 countries were on that. And so you're right that although the data in our books, in our ledgers, in our systems are historical, but then you use actually the external data, external forecasts, and then you will be able to create much more realistic forecast and budgets.
Very right.
Okay, let's
Yes,
move
and,
forward. Yeah, any other question?
I think Ajmal has raised the hand. Let me.
Gee.
Ajmal, you
Uh,
can unmute yourself.
Yes, I have done. Sir,
Yes,
actually,
please.
I would like to add with respect to the first question, where it's been asked that where is the role of finance people? In my thinking, finance people role is, as you said, the 10 steps of strategy. Whatever the strategy is, to whether to launch a new product or we are going to sustain our customers, at every step, our main objective is to add value to the business, whether in terms of profitability or to increasing the volume of customers. So
Right.
what would you like to say in my thinking, whether I am that financial model is from initial to the end. At every step, finance is involved, and the last decision is also depend on the finance. What we are achieving through our strategy from very first step to the last steps. What's your kind advice on that?
Right. Well, let's have a look at the strategy management workflow. So finance people need to be engaged here, and because we are very good at it. So all the strategic analysis with both internal data and external data, we can add value. Then making strategic choices. So here also, this needs to be validated and in the validation stage. So here finance plays a very important role. This area is generally, customer value proposition is generally done by marketing people. But then finance also plays a very important role in terms of pricing of the product and whether the right customer segments are being addressed. So you can't sell Rolls-Royce to everyone, and it's very selected. Very few people can afford the Rolls-Royce. Similarly, sports cars is very selective people who will be buying sports cars. But everyday car like a Suzuki or a Corolla, it's an everyday car. So So you work with your marketing team again. So finance has a role here, and there are strategy meetings taking place when we are considering the value proposition, and finance can actually be part of that meeting. And as I said, you don't have to be invited. You just tell them that you will be attending that meeting. This is very important because sometimes the marketing and sales people will say this is our meeting and guests are not allowed. But you're not a guest. You actually are a business partner. In Unilever, the finance business partner concept was very well entrenched. So the finance person was engaged in every meeting, and that added a depth in the finance work. So feasibility is all about finance. Implementation planning, the finance guys are actually doing. I'm getting some calls on this. Implementation planning. Again, very important that the finance can play in the alignment and communication. And so, as you can see in the entire strategy management process, finance has got a major role to play. And that is what the CEOs are saying, that we are not playing this role. So this is something that we need to change, that from when we said that only 20% of the finance people are actually doing strategic work. It's because we are always busy. We need to get the time out, and we actually need to sit back and reflect as to how the business is operating and what is happening outside the world, which is impacting the business. So these kind of discussions you can have with your sales colleagues, with your marketing teams, with your operations team, even with your HR team, as to what kind of talent is available for finance, what kind of talent is available. And understanding a strategy actually helps you in your career development. So the better you understand strategy, the faster you will rise in the organization. And I've seen that those people coming from the MBA background, from good business school, every other sentence that they're using the word strategy. So people think that they are very sharp or something like that, but actually they are just using strategy as a way of communication and impressing others. But actually strategy requires a lot of discipline, and a lot of work has to go in a disciplined manner. So my advice to you, Ajmal, and to all the other fellow colleagues, is that your best investment is to learn strategy, and the best way to learn strategy is to start talking with your colleagues in the organization and be part of any cross-functional projects.
Right.
Important thing is that you are visible. You don't hide behind your work, but you actually play front foot, like in cricket, scoring a chakka or a sixer. You need to stand out, and do ask a lot of questions. And asking questions helps you understand the business strategy much better.
Right. Sir, may I add, Jay? So what I have learned, that all these 10 steps are to be quantifiable.
Absolutely. Everything is quantifiable here in a manner, because as we saw in the strategy canvas model, all the 9 boxes which are describing the strategy actually flow into the P&L. So as Hashim Saab said, that is so important that we actually use the strategy canvas, business model canvas, and then actually translate. First of all, the best way to learn about your organization strategy is to fill that business model canvas. Second stage is to connect the business model canvas to the P&L. And so you are actually able to evaluate your strategy as to whether the strategy is going to be adding value to your organization or not. Sometimes the marketing people say that we want to invest so much in marketing and advertising, and it will benefit in the future years. So you can actually evaluate that. So in Unilever, whenever we were launching a new brand, also in Novartis, we will do a 3 to 5 years projection of that brand. And maybe in year 1, there'll be a loss, but then that loss would be covered in future years. So every new growth idea has to go through validation.
Thank you, sir, for detailed answer. And we would like to have a copy of the presentation if you would like to send us.
Yeah, the ICMA should be able to provide it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. This is our standard practice, Ajmal. We share the recording and the presentation. So I think, sir, it's very good. If there are no more questions, we can go to the section 3.
Right, thank you. Now, this is all about the AI.
If you allow me, sir.
Ijaz?
Yes,
thank you. Can you
please
hear
go
me?
ahead.
Yes, Ijaz.
Yes.
Thanks, Khalid. It's a wonderful session. Only my concern is how to deal with the change in strategy and change in the management. Because now I am a part of a big organization where we have seen 3 changes in our structures in recent 2 years and change in the growth strategies and our business models. So how to deal with these situations?
Right, thank you, Ijaz. Yeah, it depends on the business that you're in and what's happening outside. So how the external world is impacting your business. You need to understand, you need to apply the strategic, actually, if you do the strategy analysis tools, both internal and external, not by yourself, but also with your marketing colleagues and sales colleagues as to what is happening, you'll be better understanding as to how the business should be managed. So there could be changes because the initial strategy was not good enough and it was not producing results, and therefore strategy is a loop. And as you see that after 10 steps, you actually go back to the planning. So it's a continuous loop. And previously, this loop used to be like 2 years, every 2 years. Now we are actually saying that sorry. We are actually showing that this strategy review should be done on a quarterly basis. One of my CEOs said, why can't we do it monthly? And I said, no, it's going to be too much. And things don't happen every month. But in case something comes up, then emergency tactical meeting has to be taken place. So it depends on your industry, Ijaz, as to what is happening and the quality of the strategy that takes place. And often with the change in the management, the new CEO feels pressured to come up with a new strategy that will help the business. Okay. So let's go to the AI part. What's the new buzzword is agentic AI. So there is a generative AI and there is a agentic AI. And what we saw that, just give me a second.
So I think, Ijaz, going back to your question, there was a period when strategy was like, I remember, early 2000, it used to be you do an exercise with one big four and then you review it on every 5 years. Then came period around 2010, 2015. Okay, let's review it on every 3 years. And then close to 2020, they said, let's review your strategy because the speed of change has increased multiple times. And as it is rightly said, most of the leading organization across multiple sectors, they are reviewing their strategy document on quarterly basis. And whenever there is any leadership team meeting and they see, like, for example, you're going for a strategic project, they cross check, is it matching with your strategy? Is this particular part of your strategic initiatives? So from 5-year, 3-year, 2-year, and now on quarterly basis. And as Sayyid Khalid said, if there is any major shift, any major change, yes, people do come into tactical meeting and they relook at your the strategy document.
Thank you, Zia. So let's talk about the agentic AI. So we've been using generative AI since last 2 years, 23, 24, and now, so 3 years now, ChatGPT and Claude and Anthropic, and many others. And it's so easy to use. So the more you use it, the better you become. And it has created a lot of my presentation is actually by using Claude, helping me to refine my thought process. So, so the new area that has come in is the agentic AI, and what it does, it goes a step forward. So these are the AI systems that can perceive, reason, plan, and execute a multi-step task autonomously. So in generative AI like Copilot, the human asks, the AI answers, and it is the human who decides, and whereas the AI actually assists. When it comes to agentic AI, it is more like a autopilot. So generative AI was a co-pilot. Agentic AI is actually autopilot. So AI observes, AI plans, AI executes, and AI reports, and the human actually reviews at the key gates. So this is a very helpful tool, agentic AI, and it's increasingly coming into finance. A lot of our members are actually have used the agentic AI into delivering those repetitive transactions automatically. So even in country like in Pakistan also, I know that in certain organizations have done payment without human touch. Shocking, isn't it? We thought that payment was the most important control that is there, but now the most important controls are, first of all, the purchase requisition, that you want to order the right things, and then the second most important document is purchase orders, and then the GRN. So if you have this PR, purchase orders, and the GRN in the system, then the system will automatically match the three-way matching, and it will send the payment to the vendor without. So obviously the payment authorization has to go through the right signatories, but then the entire work of accounts payable department, which in my experience was the largest section of the finance team, actually they will be, and the time is now available for much more deeper analysis and strategy as opposed to just processing payment. Similar goes to the customer payments received. The matching of invoices was quite a challenge, but nowadays, again, the agentic AI can actually do that. Agentic AI can actually produce performance decks, which used to take a lot of time, 2-3 days, etc. So we'll see some examples. So if you look at it, a generative AI is a brilliant analyst who answers your question. The agentic AI is a brilliant analyst who notices the problem, investigates it, models the solution, and brings you a recommendation before you even know there is a problem. So yeah, this is something very, very powerful. And a lot of companies and organizations are looking towards this to make finance much more productive. Not only finance, but other areas of business operations also. So this is an exciting area that we should learn about. And apparently it's not as difficult. It would require some IT background, but not all. You can actually ask your IT person to design an agentic AI. So what happens is that you create your AI agents, and one of the most important agent is market intelligence. Now this agent will continuously monitor competitor filings, their earnings report, market announcement. It will scan the news. It will scan the analyst reports. It can actually analyze social sentiment for financial signals. It can track commodity prices, the FX rates, the interest rates, and models financial impact instantly. And then it monitors geopolitical development and stress tests your financial plans in real time. So for example, your competitor announces 15% price reduction. The agent action will analyze competitor capacity, models revenue impact, and pulls price sensitivity data, calculates the margin impact, draft strategic response options. And it all took 4 minutes, whereas for manually it could take 3 weeks, for example. So it's quite a powerful AI agent which will be analyzing all the external data. Next is your own customer intelligence agent. Now, what it can do is dynamic customer lifetime value for every segment. Why is this important? Lifetime value is that it allows you to understand your future sales to that customer and how long, and also to invest in retaining that customer. Also, customer profit models, revenue, and true cost to serve. It can help you predict customer churn, which is whether the customer is going to leave your company. And it can quantify financial impact before it happens. Pricing optimization at customer, segment, and product level. So this can actually be done, which used to take a lot of analysis manually, can be done by the customer intelligence agent. So the customer agent can actually reveal your top 20 customers, which can not give you 80%, but 180% of the total profit. The middle 50% are in a break even, for example, and the bottom 30% is actually destroying 80% of your profit. So this is quite a powerful agent. And most CFOs don't know this, and AI can reveal it daily. So this was the second intelligence agent. The third intelligence agent is your operations intelligence agent, and which connects operational KPIs to financial outcomes in real time. It models supply chain disruption. It can calculate the financial impact before it hits the P&L. And it identifies operational inefficiencies with financial quantification. For example, the working capital intelligence can help you reduce your receivable by 15 to 25%. The payable agent can reduce cost. Inventory agent can reduce inventory by 20 to 30%. And these are various sub agent within the operations agent. And in the workflow, the supply chain disruption can be detected. The financial impact can be modeled, response options with cost analysis, and it can actually recommend action. And finance is ahead of the crisis. So very exciting work in the agentic AI domain. Again, the fourth dimension is people intelligent agent. And so this gives you the true cost and value of human capital and tracked like a financial capital. This is some area which we are very much lacking, as to we are unable to value the human capital in the organization, which are the basis of any success. Workforce productivity linked to the financial performance. Attrition prediction, very important KPI. Financial cost quantified before it happens, and the ROI of training, hiring, and workforce investment. So as an example, replacing one senior finance analyst, we were paying 180,000. Retention intervention is 25,000. And net value of acting per person is 155,000. So the dashboard metrics for people can give you revenue per employee, human capital ROI, attrition cost, and training ROI. So let me get this right. So if you replace a person earning 180,000 and the intervention cost is 25,000. So the net value of acting is 180 minus 25 is 155,000. So this is a very difficult area in HR and also for the rest of the organization, that if a capable person is going to leave the organization, it can actually hamper your strategy execution. So you need to understand the true cost of human capital. And this is an area which I would also, even as an HR head, was quite a challenging area. But now with the help of AI, we'll probably be able to tackle this very important area of doing. So as someone said that in today's world, the value of the organization is 90% intangibles and only 10% hardware, the physical assets. And that's where people come in, the knowledge, the relationship, the creativity, the systems. So this is an important area for finance people to explore as to how to value human capital. So, so we have all these 4 different AI intelligent agent, and now we can actually make a CFO intelligence hub. So the input is going as marketing data, customer data, operations data, people data, and financial data, and this is all put into a CFO intelligence hub. And this actually creates a real-time P&L forecast, capital allocation recommendation, risk early warning, strategic options, board-ready narratives, and scenario analysis. So finance is no longer a reporting function. It is the intelligence engine of the enterprise, and its core users are CFO, CEO, board, and business unit heads. So you can see that all these data were previously siloed and not were putting together, but now we are creating a CFO intelligence hub, which will be helpful in taking all the decisions. So decision intelligence will reside in this center. I have some more information in the coming slides. So finance becomes an intelligence system for the enterprise. So previously it was only financial data, but now the future finance function doesn't own the financial data. It integrates all the enterprise data to generate intelligence that drives major business decisions. And finance becomes center of all decisions intelligence across the enterprise. So as you can see that the finance sits in the center, and you have market intelligence agent, you have customer intelligence agent, you have operations intelligence agent and people agent, all feeding into the main finance intelligence. And this is where all the decisions will be made. So the finance is actually helping the organization take the decisions which are data-driven and much more faster than before. Another picture of the same information, finance, sales, and operations in HR. They have various systems operating. They go into a data lake, which is a single source of truth. From there, you have the AI and machine learning models, the dashboards, and scenario modeling. And it all ends up in an integrated enterprise intelligence hub that we saw, which is led by the finance team. The biggest fear is that if finance doesn't own this process, some data scientist or the data organization will take over this role, which is not going to be good news. The IT function wants to compete in this arena, but then we have to keep the data and IT separate from control point of view. But if finance slows down or lacks, we're going to lose this very important area of integrated enterprise intelligence system. It will go away. So it's very important that we start working with in building a single source of truth, having clean source of data, and then build AI models and dashboards and decision models. We have to own it. And this will help us in providing a much faster service, much more value-added service to the organization. So based on these intelligence systems, what will enable the finance team? So there is a commercial finance team, and we will be able to give them the real-time P&L by customer, product, and channel and geography. For supply chain team, we can give them live cost visibility from supply to shelf. From workforce finance, we can give them productivity, cost, and talent ROI in one view. ESG finance, we can look at carbon cost embedded into every financial decision. And customer finance, we look at the lifetime value, acquisition cost, and margin by segment. So the CFO who controls the integrated enterprise intelligence controls the strategic agenda, breaks down the data silos, and becomes the most powerful voice in the boardroom. Would you like that? Who wouldn't? Information is power. Knowledge is power. And this is what an integrated intelligence can give us, the powerful voice in the boardroom. So some of the business questions that the system can actually answer. So which customers are most profitable? Without, if manually done, it will take 3 weeks. But with the integration, it can give a real-time answer. What's our true cost to serve the customers? It used to be an estimated guess, but now with the models, it can do a precise calculation. Where should we invest next? And it used to be a good gut feel, but now we can have a data-driven recommendation. And what is our ESG financial impact? It's currently like unknown, but then you can actually model it to become a live ESG P&L. As an example, what can AI and machine learning driven enterprise, how can it create more value? So we can see that, and it's an estimate, you can do more than that. So revenue optimization can help a 5 to 8% margin improvement. Cost identification can reduce cost by 10 to 15%. Capital allocation, 20% better return on invested capital. Risk reduction, 30%. So this is just a sample example as to what kind of area the enterprise value is created. So AI enabling technologies that are available today are IoT sensors, which is used in the manufacturing world. They actually see the productivity of each machine. Data lakes, this is where all the data is combined and cleaned. The machine learning models are developed, live dashboards are made, and decision alerts are made whenever there is an anomaly, there is a decision alert you can create. Some examples of AI and ML platforms are Databricks, Microsoft Azure, Google, Vertex AI. Some visualization tools include Power BI, Tableau, Looker. The ERP integration are SAP Analytics Cloud and Oracle Analytics. So the action point for the CFO is invest in a unified data analytics layer. The finance team that sees tomorrow's problem today wins the competitive race. How are we doing for time? I have a few slides on these data pipelines. So data pipelines are very, very important because it automates the flow of information from one system to another. And previously, a lot of it was done manually. So a few slides on pipeline. So SAP gives data to FP&A. The CRM also produce reports for CFO, bank feeds for transactions, HR systems, and supply chain. So these are various source systems, and then there is a pipeline layer and there is a consumption layer. Consumption layer will depend upon the user who want to use the information. So the benefits of using unified data pipelines is speed, accuracy, consistency, scalability, and auditability. Now, so it's not a technical thing. What you need to do as a finance people is to tell your IT people as to how to connect these data to the data warehouse and what can be done. So every hour your finance team spends on data plumbing is an hour stolen from strategic insight and automate the pipes. So will liberate your team. So this is a data pipeline is actually connecting several different systems to one data warehouse or data lake, as they say, from where all the models will be created and all the AI will be generated. So another example that AI-enabled finance business impact will be decision speeds can be as much as 5 times faster. Forecast accuracy can be increased by 35% to 40%, and the finance team productivity can go up by 30%, and the risk incident avoided financial surprises by estimated 25%. So this is an example of the key benefits from enabling a finance function which is AI enabled. Next section is all about rolling forecast and how the annual budget. So the annual budget used to take 3 to 6 months, consuming 30% of the finance resources. Locke's decision to assumptions made 12 to 18 months ago. And this is interesting. Management organization behavior incentivizes sandbagging. Managers game the system to hit the targets. They would underplay the sales number. They overplay the cost numbers. Irrelevant by Q2, macro shocks, market shifts make it obsolete. And it's backward looking because it's built on last year's numbers, not future signals. So in a world that changes daily, a plan made once a year is not a plan. It's a historical artifact. Rolling forecasts make finance perpetually future ready. So this rolling forecast is increasingly used in most of the developed finance organization. So if you compare the annual budget with rolling forecast, the frequency is once a year annual budget, whereas rolling forecast is either monthly or quarterly. The horizon is fixed 12 months in budget, and it is always 12 to 18 months ahead. Effort, high months of work, low because it's in rolling forecast because it's automated refresh. Accuracy, budget degrades rapidly, and in terms of rolling forecast, it's improved continuously. And in terms of agility, it's rigid, whereas the rolling forecast is highly adaptive. Focus is cost control, whereas focus is value creation. So these are some of the dimensions of differences between annual budget and rolling forecast. So increasingly, in a dynamic world, a rolling forecast adds much more value and actually removes the need for an annual budget exercise. People love annual budget because it fixes a target, but then the target becomes obsolete within 2 months or 3 months after budget creates a real loss of effort. So one can do target setting independent of annual budget. And so most of the role of budget was a target setting. So that we can still do without going into a detailed annual budget. But this is something work in progress, and a lot of companies are struggling to move from annual budget to rolling forecast. But then I think for the FP&A people, it's the gold standard that you should have a rolling forecast, because your CEO can come up and he can ask as to what is the outlook look like. So rather than starting again, you will have a ready number as to what is the latest outlook for the year. How do we build a rolling forecast capability? So we defined key driver value, identified 10 to 15 metrics that truly drive the business performance, automate data inputs, connect the pipeline to live operational, commercial, and macro data, deploying AI forecasting models, and human judgment layer. Finance business partners add strategic context and scenario overlays. So what it can do, that it can reduce the forecast cycle time by 70%, increase planning accuracy by 40%. These are estimates. Finance team on value add from 20 to 60%, and the strategic decisions speed 3 times faster. So what can CFOs do is replace the annual budget theater with a living, breathing forecast engine. Your business moves at the speed of markets, and your finance planning should also do that. Okay, and I know we are pressing for time, but I have just a few more slides. Is there any question relating to the AI part of the presentation?
I think, sir, we all are enjoying the session. There was one hand raised by one of our colleague. So if there is any question, so we can ask now, and then we go for another 5-10 minutes when sir has some more slide. Someone has raised a question. I think we missed him in the last Q&A part. So please
Right.
raise your question, anyone who has it, and we bring you to the stage. Sir, I have one question in terms of technology readiness. We have seen like some organization when they go on this journey in terms of utilizing technology and to assist the finance team, their ERP system is not that supportive, and first they have to work on their AI readiness before they go towards the use of technology. And if you are in this situation, how to handle this particular part?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is most important, that the quality of data that AI is going to be using is actually clean data. And therefore, there is a need that, and ERP is actually containing historical information only, and it doesn't have certain other information like the customer dimension may not be, all customer dimension may not be there. So it's very important that we actually create a data warehouse or a data lake, as they call it. And we have the market data, we have the customer data, we have the operations data, and we have the financial data in one data warehouse. And that warehouse data that comes in is actually clean data, meaning that there is no errors. We try and clean the data by removing any errors in there, by looking at some data cleansing technique. Looks at the extreme data. So a very large number is actually examined and a very low number is examined, and see if there is an error in that data. So after data cleansing, so you're right that sometimes the quality of ERP implementation not be the best, and therefore it is not. So the chart of account design, the cost center design, the profit center design is critical, that we have a right structure to generate the right kind of data. So, and that is an area that is a prerequisite for AI implementation. Right?
So let's complete the remaining part, and then we can do the final Q&A at the end, inshallah.
All right. Okay. So the next is, the last part of the presentation is all about call to action. So here I'm presenting the roadmap for AI-enabled finance. So there are 3 horizons, year 1, 2, and 3. So in horizon 1, you automate and stabilize. You actually look at the current finance processes, identify top 5 automation opportunities, and then you deploy the RPA or agentic AI for accounts payable, accounts receivable, reconciliations, and reporting, and you migrate to a cloud-based ERP, for example, on SAP, S/4HANA, Oracle Fusion, or Workday, and you also upskill teams on a data literacy or a digital tool. So these are some recommendations. You don't really, SAP is very expensive and Oracle is very expensive. There are other software which are available, and they are cloud-based ERP, which are very popular. So the important thing is that you first have to commit that you want to make a future-ready finance. And for that, in year one, you are actually doing a step-by-step. You're looking at 5 big opportunities to automate. You're deploying RPA or AI agentic AI, and then you are doing, so you're not doing 100% in year one. And if your ERP is cloud-based, then you are able to connect all the external data quite easily. But most importantly is to upskill finance team on a data literacy and digital tool. This is a investment, but there's a prerequisite to get the benefit of AI-based organization. Say in the year 2, you can build AI-powered FP&A capabilities with rolling forecast. You can embed finance business partners directly into the business units, and create finance data office owning enterprise data quality. Lastly, in Horizon 3 to 5 years, transform and lead finance as the enterprise intelligence hub, CFO co-leading AI governance alongside CTO and Chief Data Officer, real-time autonomous financial close, and finance talent model. Now, this is very interesting. The future finance organization be like 1/3 finance, 1/3 data scientist, and 1/3 people of relating to business strategy. So that is a recommendation, because a lot of finance work will be taken up by agentic AI. So we need to train our people in data science and also in business strategy, which is not that difficult for finance people, as I can say. So again, the current just compares the current team to the future team. Currently, 80% of the people are in the accountants and financial analysts, and 20% are in FP&A and strategy. And the future outlook is accounting and finance 30%, data scientists and engineers 30%, business strategy 25%, and technology AI specialists 15%. So this is just a direction that future finance organization would look like. So finance is no longer about explaining what happened. It's about predicting what will happen and prescribing what to do next. The bottom line, finance function that invests in strategic mindset and AI-enabled processes today will drive competitive advantage tomorrow. Those that don't will become obsolete. Tough message. And this is now the Q&A session.
Sometimes, sir, it is good to convey a tough message, because in order to make situations clear, sometimes like even our parents, our teachers used to give sometime a tough message so that we can understand the sensitivity of the topic we're talking about. Thank you very much, sir. I think we have really enjoyed. Now we are open for Q&A. Any member who has any question, please raise your hand and we'll bring you to the stage to have some more interaction.
Yeah, it's a difficult area to absorb and assemble inside, because there is a technical area and there is a functional area. So, but I think it's not that difficult people should start getting familiar with the AI tools and concepts by attending some program by ICMA and ICAP and other accounting bodies. They're running these programs, and I would encourage ICMA to run some more programs on a more frequently, so that the students and members can abreast themselves with the new technology.
Yep, definitely, sir. We are looking forward to it, and we agree this as well. The life is all about continuous unlearning the things that are not needed no more, and relearning the things that are needed as we speak now. So this is what the game into, and I know you as well. Like being the fellow member of ICAP, then going for MBA from IBA, then going to Harvard Business School, then connection with Slim Sufi. Sayyid Khalid has been a good learner all the time, and he has been our very good friend, colleague, and a mentor. And this is what the life is. Life is all about our today must be better than yesterday.
Yep.
So if there are no more questions, then we will say thanks to sir. So we have really enjoyed the session, and I think we're looking forward to more, because this is a bit heavier for the people to adjust and thought through it. And I think we can reconnect at a later stage for
Sure.
more engaging and relevant session. Sir, thank you very much for your time. It was really enjoyable. We all have really enjoyed it, and we are looking forward to future session as well. At the same time, we are also thankful to our head office team, Mr. Shafiq, Miss Hira, and Muhammad Hashim as well. And we are looking forward to all the constructive feedback, and we keep improving our program. Sir, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Zia. And thank you, Hashim Saab and Hira, for
Thank
giving
you,
me the
sir.
opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Khalid sir. बहुत शुक्रिया.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Goodbye. Allah Hafiz.
Bye, bye, everybody.